In this tutorial we show you how to use the Scriptwriters Toolkit to write a screenplay. We're going to use as an example The Legend of Pyramus and Thisbe, as written by William Shakespeare as a subplay within the main play Midsummer Night's Dream. So we begin by opening Microsoft Word, which from the previous videos you will have put onto the dock here at the bottom. So we double click on Microsoft Word, and once it is opened we go to File and New. File will bring up this window which we already see here, and New here. And we're going to use the template called Stage 6C. This is the same as the free sample of the Scriptwriters Toolkit, so you can practice this procedure before you pay any administration fees whatsoever. So having done New over here, we then click on the template that we want to use. In the case of an Apple Mac, we double click it, and then that opens the template for the Scriptwriters Toolkit. It begins by a description of the toolkit with my name at the bottom there. I won't go into that at the moment. You can read that yourself later on. The next step is to give a title to this script. So we're going to call it Pyramus and Thisbe, obviously. Pyramus and Thisbe. Well, I've still got the title of the script in there, so we'll just get rid of that. And we OK that, and you'll see that the title changes here, ready for the next step. Now this is where we enter the character names. First speaker is in fact the prologue. Then we have the wall, Pyramus, Thisbe, the lion, moonshine, and the moon. Those are all the characters we need at the moment. We've got some spare ones which we won't be using. So we OK that. And you'll see that we now have a crib sheet with the names filled in. Now the next thing we're going to do is to save the first stage of the toolkit. We're going to create the beginnings of the file that will become the thing in the long run. So we're going to call this save as Pyramus and Thisbe, and we're going to store it in the folder called My Scripts within the folder called Documents. So over here we've got, if you might recall from our previous discussion, these are the folders that belong to this particular user, and this is the Documents folder, and we're going to put them inside the subfolder called My Scripts. So we now have a file called Pyramus and Thisbe within My Scripts, and it's a Word document of type docx. So we save that. The first thing we're going to do is to print this crib sheet so that we have a ready reference to the character names and which keystrokes bring those character names to the fore. So we bring the print menu to the screen from File and Print, and we choose the printer. Which is this, in my case, the thing, and we're going to print just the current page. So from 1 to 1, blah blah blah, right, page range, print. Okay, I've now printed out the crib sheet, so I have it on hand, and we can move further down the page. We've got the title in the middle, and as we know, as we mentioned earlier, this particular screenplay or stage play was created by William Shakespeare as a sub play within A Midsummer Night's Dream. So we'll wipe this out here, and this is a part of before one submits it to a production company. You'd probably fill in the other things, but we'll leave these for a moment. You can always fill those back in later. Now we reach Act 1. Oh, sorry, come back to the copyright issues. Copyright Act didn't exist in Shakespeare's day, but so we'll leave that one for the moment. We'll just fill that in later. The stage 6C process has a place here where you can fill in the details of the characters, but we'll leave that to later. You can do that later. And we've reached the main part of the script here. It begins with the prologue speaking. We have a brief mention of where it is first, which is that's the location, and the first character to speak at some length is in fact the prologue, which you might recall from the crib sheet control one. Right. Now the next bit is a small piece of stage directions. So we first press the return key and then we press Ctrl-Shift-V to type in the stage direction. So it's now the next speaker is wall, and we know from our crib sheet that that is Control 2. But at this point we will do a save, because that was quite a long speech, wouldn't want to have to retype it again. So we bring down the file menu and hit the save button. Right, that will do for the moment. We'll stop there and I'll just correct this. Exit. File save. Oh, missed out T. Please be. File. Save. And we'll stop at this point for the moment. Since we didn't close Microsoft Word, we can carry on by simply typing of Pyramus and Thisbe by simply reopening Microsoft Word where it's already carried on here. Okay, let's make this a little bit bigger so as we can see what we're doing more clearly. And just correct a bit of spelling there. Wall begins by talking a lot. Now we type the dialogue of Wall. Now we have a single line of stage instructions, which, as you know, we press return, followed by Control-Shift-V for visual exposition, and we type in the stage direction itself. Control-3. So here we go. Right, we have some stage directions. followed by Pyramus again. So we'll first of all do the stage directions, return, Control-Shift-V, and we're back to Pyramus again, which is 3, Control-3. Now we have some stage directions for Thisbe entering, so that's Control-Shift-V, enter Thisbe, and she speaks, and her code is 4, so Control-4. And the next speaker is Pyramus, which is Control-3. And Thisbe replies, she is Control-4. And now it's Pyramus again. Now again, some stage directions. So that's a return followed by Control-Shift-V. Excellent. And Wall has the final word. Wall, you might recall, was number 2, Control-2. Control-2. Control-Shift-V. Now that's the end of the scene, but in fact we've got some pre-prepared things following this which cause a bit of a problem, so I'm going to get rid of these. So starting on the next line here, I'm going to select all of the remaining material and press the delete key to delete it. That has actually shortened the script by the 1 page. that's the end of the scene, so we want an end of scene, which is Control-Shift-E. There we are. And then we begin the next scene. Depending on what you wish to do with this script, you can put a page break in between scenes to give the stage crew time to change the scenery. But for the moment, we won't do that. You can work through the script and just do those as a final operation just before you do the final printout. So we want the beginning of the next scene, which is Control-Shift-S. Then we have scene 2, which of course begins with some stage directions. Lion is first to speak, and he or she, it does say lion, not lioness. So lion is Control-5. And the next speaker is Moonshine, who is Control-6. And a few words from Moon herself. Moon is Control-7. And a bit of stage direction, so it's a return, Control-Shift-V, re, enter, there's a B. And she speaks. She is for Control-4. And is spotted by the line, who is Control-5. Here we and then highlight it. And from the Scriptwriters menu, we select parentheses. I'm going to stop there, take a break there for a moment, and just correct one minor correction there, and then do a file and save. Don't, if you see this message, don't save anything to the document template. You don't want to overwrite it. You will have to reinstall the Scriptwriters Toolkit if you do that. Okay, we'll pause there for a moment. It's quite a short play, so there's nothing much else to do, but we'll come back to that in a moment. So imagine for the moment you're taking a break and you have other things to do, so we'll save this, and then we might have other things to do with the computer, so we can close the file. And close Word. We'll come back to that later.